Austin, I have a problem. I have a big problem.
You're wearing a cool, funky shirt.
Thank you. Okay, let me sidebar the problem for a second and talk about something else.
Yeah.
I am wearing this shirt for like empowerment right now, not because of the design, but because this is one of the shirts that no longer fits me the way I want it to fit me, and I have it on more of a rotation because I'm putting a very serious gym effort in, like a serious sustained gym effort in, because I want to look hot for TI. And this shirt lets me know if I'm doing a good job because I can feel it starting to go from like unwearable to put onable to a little bit looser. And I like this shirt. So I'm trying to get there. And I'm going to get there.
Good for you. Good. Very happy for you.
That's not my problem though. Thank you.
I mean, you already did it once. You already lost some weight once. So
yes,
easy.
and then I stopped caring. But I'm gonna lose even more weight for TI.
Hell yeah!
I'm gonna lose even more weight for TI, and I'm gonna be happy about it. My problem though is not weight related or TI related. Mm-hmm. It's that I have to set an alarm for myself that goes off in 4 hours and 10 minutes because I have to get up at 3 a.m. ish to go film. I have a call time at 4 a.m. because we're going to film a sunset, and part of me just wants to stay up. I think that's a young man's game though, and I think that I am conceding to have aged out of that, and I think the play is going to be drug myself and get like maybe 2.5, 3 hours of sleep.
What do you mean drug yourself?
Do you have a preferred way to induce sleep?
Melatonin, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yes. I've never really enjoyed melatonin. I don't think it's like worked particularly well for me. But if I take 2 Benadryl, I will be snoring in 20 minutes ish. It's how I sleep on planes. It's how I sleep in like I need to reset my sleep schedule situation. Like I can take like drowsing medicine like a Benadryl, not for allergies, but because I want to go sleepy. And that is my immediate future.
Are you supposed to operate a motor vehicle after taking Benadryl?
I think once you wake up, you're fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. After you wake up, sleeping 3-4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, people. it's an allergy medicine. People take it all the time and then like go about their day. I think, right?
Just,
I don't know.
You know, make sure you're fully awake. That's all I'm saying.
So, thank you for my safety. It's gonna be very dark. I'm going out on a lake. I got like big waders, like go up to like my nipples, and I'm gonna be in the water, like scooping algae and setting up a shot so that we can film when the sun comes up at like 5:30.
Really?
Yep. I got headlamps.
Scooping out algae. Why are you scooping out the algae?
So, the algae is gonna bloom once the sun like really starts to hit, and I would like the lake to look like not algae ridden. So I'm gonna be taking a pool skimmer and getting the algae, and also so we're filming from the water onto a dock. So we're gonna have the camera on like a little dinghy boat with like a cameraman, and then like 2 people like putting oars into the ground. It's gonna be like a thing all at night, all sleep deprived.
I'm being very sincere right now. I am thoroughly impressed that you both A, thought of that, and B, are actually gonna do that just to make the shot better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I've talked about this much. My dad is like basically a fancy pool man. He like works on fountains. So there's a lot of like pool equipment that exists right here. And I've also done a lot of like cleaning out like water features and stuff. So I'm pretty experienced in pool maintenance.
I see.
One of many hats that I wear.
So this is why you would have already thought, I wouldn't have even begun to think of that, I guess.
Yeah.
So that would make sense why you would think of something like that.
I just want to make a good thing. I will be excited to share it with you when it comes out, and everybody probably in like August-ish, maybe October, but I think August. It'll be really cool. It's going to be a lot of work for about 6 seconds, but that's how these things go. that's truly how this industry works.
And your boss, does he know that you put in that extra bit of effort of like, how long is it? Give me a guesstimate. How long is this going to take to
We're going to be there for 6 hours. I'll be scooping the algae for probably like an hour-ish. But the thing is like,
okay, so
I'm
an hour extra of work in the middle of the night for a 6-second shot to be made better.
It's also asinine.
Does your boss know that you're making that extra effort?
Like if I'm gonna ego dump a little bit, it's crazy that like I'm the person who's doing this. Like it probably should be like a PA or something. But like we're operating.
Probably. Aren't you an executive?
I'm not. But well, like
you're a creative director or some shit.
I have like 8 employees who report to me. Like I'm people's boss. Yeah, yikes. That's a weird flex. Sorry. But yeah, like I'm excited to do the thing. I think it's important to never be above a job. And there's people who are going to be on that set who are doing more important jobs, who are doing more craft-based work than I will be. I can't pull focus or hold the camera or do the lighting like they even can. What I can do is make sure everybody's happy and make sure the water looks fucking clear. So that is what I will do. And
you're experienced at it, so.
Great. My dad will be so proud. But if
you're gonna show that shot to your dad, right? You see that, Dad? You see that?
He was so excited.
That's a clean looking water, isn't there?
He was so excited, like watching his eyes perk up when I'm like, "Hey, can I borrow the pool skimmer?" He's like, "Ooh, what are you doing?"
Oh. Skimming a pool, are we?
You want the laters? Are you going to finally, follow in my illustrious footsteps?
Are you finally going to give up this artsy fartsy fucking job you got and do real man's work?
God, he is. I think one of the things that my dad is proudest about is that I don't have to ruin my body working like he had to. So no.
Oh, that is good. That is good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my dad and my uncle both, every once in a while, it's like a yearly checkup. They're kind of like, so, they're getting more work at I think they just assume that this whole job that I have is just a phase that is about done now, and I should be doing something else now in my 30s.
Like, Dad, what am I gonna do?
My dad's like, yeah, I'm getting into real estate. You would be pretty good at it.
You'd be like,
I'm like, no, Dad, I'm good, thank you. I still like my job. I still make good money from it.
Cap Cass and Cap sells.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll hit you back up in 10 years. We'll see.
Well,
I mean, that is whether or not, if I continue to be blackballed out of the industry, of course, I may have to take up that call a little bit earlier.
I was going to ask, like, I was genuinely surprised that you're here doing what I think is a Dota podcast, because my understanding of the general situation is that you are being pushed out. That's what I'm looking for.
Pushed out.
You're being pushed. You're being pushed out of the industry. So like, this was like an exclusive interview or something. I should ask the hard hitting questions.
Yeah, I mean, next week you'll have on James, and then go from there. Yeah. So that was a Reddit thread that was there this last week.
For those of you who aren't on Reddit,
yes, for anyone wondering what the fuck we're talking about, there was a Reddit thread that got 3,000 upvotes on it,
which is kind of a lot.
Just, why is Cat being pushed out of the scene? And I saw this Reddit thread almost immediately.
How many people sent it to you? Were people like, hey?
I know, I was in it before anybody sent it to me.
Okay.
But yes, there were a couple people who sent it to me. And yeah, I noticed that Reddit thread right away. I think it was because I was already, funnily enough, I was already commenting on some stuff in Reddit. I had some... people were talking about Riyadh Masters, and like there was a Reddit thread about like, why do talent get held accountable for this stuff and players and teams don't, which is a good question. I think it's a fair question to ask. And then, of course, there was some responses in it, and those responses got me thinking about things, and I responded to those responses, and had a lot of people shit on me for my responses. But it pretty much came down to the fact that me kind of saying, like, look, guys, the world's kind of fucked up, all right? And everything that we do has some fucking ickiness attached to it. And it's really hard to stay morally clean. And this is just going to continue. Whether like this whole Riyadh Masters, this will not be the first tournament. It was sponsored by Saudi Arabia. I would imagine.
No way.
We will eventually go back to China at some point in time. I have to imagine Russian events will return at some point, hopefully after they pulled out of Ukraine and all that fucking nonsense is over. But, you know, like these sort of things, we're going to keep having events in the United States, and people keep on making that jump as well. It's, you know, the axis of evil, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and America. Like,
where can we hold events? Maybe esports should just exist fully in Switzerland. Like we all move there. We bring the entire industry there, and we just all live and compete nonstop in Switzerland.
Thing. I was like, believe me, like, you know, the next like Switzerland state-sponsored event that happens, like you can count on me to be there. I'll be there with a discount, baby. You know, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. And you know, you see it in traditional sports. This is where F1 has their whole thing, right? And I know people have a problem with, say, Lewis Hamilton. How much do you know about F1?
Watching Drive to Survive is like on my list of things to do, but like,
oh yeah, you got to do that.
I don't want to get sucked in like everybody else did. I have too much shit going on. I just watched Last Dance finally. It was helping at the gym. I'm like, I could be Michael Jordan. Okay. I'm fine. Oh yeah, look, cardio.
We're getting there.
Okay. Anywho, your point. Sorry.
So F1 it has been more and more inundated with Saudi Arabian money. There are more events in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia specifically, and you know, Lewis Hamilton is probably the most famous driver, and
I love his musical.
Yeah, he was really good. And he's also a big proponent for LGBTQ and shit like that. He's just like big on, you know, pushing for general social change, right?
Shit like that, you know, equality.
Yeah, just nonsense shit like that, you know. Let's treat people equally, you know, like weird
bullshit.
Anyway, and so like he is obviously caught in you know, this weird position where he's a driver and he goes to places like this, and you know, it's not like he boycotts the event, and you know, it's just like people have these expectations of like casters to boycott these events, but if like fucking these fucking millionaires can't even like stay on the high ground, like how are you expecting? Like, I can't retire yet. Like, what do you want me to do? You know, like I didn't do Riyadh Masters, but like I don't blame anybody who did take it, and I don't think that like them doing it all of a sudden prevents like they can no longer speak for the rest of their career. And I actually made the point of like, even if you retire, then it's hypocritical to be like, oh, well, I don't have to work anymore. Now I can be a voice for change. You know, like, I don't think that just because these like people do these things all of a sudden means that they have to keep quiet about LGBTQ and shit like that for the rest of their career, rest of their lives. You know, you could still work within the system and still be a push for change, particularly if it's, you know, like boycotting and doing shit like that wouldn't actually have an effect. And this is one of those things that I don't think it would have an effect on, you know?
Yeah, I don't think you're moving any needles, like even millimeters, unfortunately. And for me, I always think about the slippery slope of, and it's easy, I should say it's easier for me to say as someone who is not invited things and doesn't make these choices, right? But like, what's the difference between the event in Saudi versus just working an ESL event? Like they're both on the same spectrum, and yes, being physically in Saudi Arabia is different than being in Sweden, but the paycheck is kind of come from the same spot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it certainly is. I mean, those degrees of separation are important for some people, but I think most people would agree that it's all fucking dirty, and maybe you're getting a little less dirt on yourself by working with ESL than doing the Rion Masters. But most people would agree you're getting a little bit of dirt on you, and I think most people agree that it's like hard to be in our global economy and shit like that to keep clean. But anyway, so I just had some thoughts about that. I wrote it down. Everybody, of course, like didn't want to listen, didn't want to hear about it.
What are you, like a pundit?
They're on the side of like, if I was in that position, I would never do something like that. I would be making a stand, or at least I would know to shut the fuck up. And I think it's funny. I got accused of not having empathy, but I think it's actually that's actually people are not actually having empathy. They can't consider to be in those shoes and be faced with a situation where it's like, okay, like I need this to keep doing my job. Yeah, people were like, at the drop of a hat, were like, well, why don't you go into a different career? And I'm just like, what?
What?
Like, how is that a reasonable yeah, I should have to do that. Yeah.
To anybody making the argument that you don't have empathy, I would encourage them to listen to like any show that we've done, except maybe the ones where we're talking about Alliance. But like any other one.
Not being very empathetic there, huh? That was a good callback.
So that dovetails into like this, you're already on Reddit and you see like this thread bubble up that has your name in it, which is always, I assume, well, I don't assume, because like this has happened to me, but like, not on the same scale. Like when you see your name or your tag in the title of a Reddit post, it's just a moment of pause because you're about to open a Pandora's box and you don't really know what's on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, usually the title will be a good indication. Yeah. But it is like when you go for a good example, it's actually going after like after you cast a game or something like that and checking like new on Reddit or something like that. I've done that a few times when I thought like a cast was really good, and then I see if like the community like agreed basically, and like seeing that like that like if I see Cap in his title, like it could be good, it could be bad, It could be shitting on me. It could be, hey, that was really good.
There's definitely a difference if you read the title between, why is Cap being pushed out of the scene versus, I don't know, Moxie is terrible at her job. You probably know the argument that's going to be inside based on like the headline.
Yeah, they don't really hold a whole lot back, do they?
Yeah.
No.
How?
Yeah. So there was a Reddit thread about that, and people had some conspiracy theories, and I immediately commented in it because very cynical side of me, very manipulative, cynical side of me, I could probably use some sort of conspiracy theory about like me being pushed out to generate sympathy and generate more of a community push. But I always, like, you'll notice I'm always there in Reddit to like shut down misinformation, because I think utilizing misinformation is gross. Like, even if it's beneficial to you, I think I'm more likely to shut down misinformation that's actually like beneficial to me or like casters or something like that, because I think it's gross to take advantage of that. Yes.
I was just thinking about the dichotomy between like, oh, Cap, he's going to go take Saudi money, but then the exact opposite is that Cap shutting down lies that can be beneficial for him. Like, I mean, pick a fucking lane, people.
Yeah, well, so it was a bit of a swerve of just like, I was having bad conversations with Redditors, and all of a sudden then they were like, where is he? Where is Cap? Where is that poor boy?
Did you write that response in like one go? Was that just like a stream of consciousness, like I'm gonna poop it out, or is that like something that you need to like sit down and like think about for a second as you're composing it so that you like come off well?
No, I pretty much sort of stream of consciousness. I mean, this is stuff like I've already thought about this. Because I've seen, like, it's not just this thread. I've seen these comments and I've responded to these individual comments before on Reddit where somebody's like, I'll see somebody say, you know, like, oh, he probably just charges way more than the casters or something like that. I'm just like,
true.
wait, no,
it's not true.
No, like, and then it's like, then I'll see, oh yeah, I got fucking, you know, that James Too Good interview that he did,
dude,
that you pissed somebody off,
dude.
You know, and I'm just like, oh, okay, maybe that's a meme. I'll just let that one go for a bit, and then I just keep seeing that meme over and over again, and I'm just like, okay, this is becoming too much of a thing. I need to stop this.
I don't want to get too like in the weeds about the psychology or just like how memes or lies become truth, but like the James thing is so fascinating to me because I truly believe that this was something that like was started as a joke, but then it was repeated so many times in like different contexts that without a doubt people have thought, oh, there might be validity to that. And there isn't. But like that is just like, you know, take that and then transpose it to anything that like is way more important in geopolitics or the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. No, I 100%. You could definitely see some similarities in certain things like trans issues. I think is one you probably see that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think I agree. I think that was a meme, and then I think it just gets spouted so many times, and somebody maybe a little bit more gullible or less maybe like tied into the scene, like treats that seriously, and then you know like they repeat it, and then other people. Then also there's just the fact that like as time goes on, naturally more conspiracy theories. I mean, really, like we're saying this like it was some grand saga, and people are like saying like, oh my god. I mean, I didn't get invited for this upcoming major, which I don't even think was out yet.
No.
Or maybe it was.
I think your thread maybe preceded that post, which is super interesting to me because I thought it was the opposite. But I think that comment about you preceded the post by like an hour, maybe. Like.
Yeah, and it was like, so what else? Like, I wasn't there for the third season. I wasn't there for Riyadh Masters, and maybe some people noticed that I wasn't there for a Stockholm Major. Maybe they didn't they probably didn't see the after show, first of all. So there's probably a decent number of people who thought I just like didn't cast anything there or something. So it really wasn't like that big of a span of time. So I did appreciate like the short amount of time it took me to be out of the limelight, I guess, or something, and the response that it got did make me very appreciative. Because I have done a good amount of work this year, so.
How do you keep your ego in check about that? Because I think that I feel like if I was in your position, I would probably be like pacing around the house in circles, like a big smile on my face, and be like, "Fuck yeah, I feel so good." But I get that
it does feel good. Sorry, keep going. What were you saying?
No, I don't get the impression that you're like as self-centered about it as I assume I would be. And maybe that's just like a personality difference, or like you've been in that position for a while, so like you kind of, I don't know, like it's I thought about it and I'm like, well, this probably made Austin feel really good today, but like what's the level between like this makes me feel good versus like this is potentially like, you know, too much dopamine?
Well, actually what it made me feel good is that I think I legitimately think that a thread like this secures me for TI. I think I'm like pretty decently chanced that I'm going to get invited for TI, but I think you should never treat TI as a sure thing, no matter who you are. Mm-hmm. Well, Owen Cheever, but I think for the most part, like it's a big event, you know, and so you shouldn't take it for granted. But I do think pushes from the community like this. So I think it made me feel good in that fact that I feel like my next year is pretty secured. Because it was a big thread. And I do think tournament organizers and Valve do see these things, so that they know the community values me. So it made me feel good in that sense. individual comments did make me feel very good. But the overall sentiment, I guess, doesn't affect me as much anymore. And I think part of that is we can kind of tie it into the Moxie thing as well. Is that part of it is that I've come to like. Well, first of all, I've had a big love-hate relationship with the community as is, like
we've been over that.
Like it's still part of my core that like, most of these people hated me, like, and were shitting on me 5 to 6 years ago, like that was a thing. So, but I also have like really come to terms with the fact that like most of these people don't really care about me. They care about the product that I bring. But I think most of them don't really know like actually who I am as a person, and don't actually like care about me in that sense.
Those are probably the people who like watch your stream or listen to this show or listen to the show with Will. So there's probably like 3,000 to 5,000 people if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So if you were one of those people who was listening to this podcast, like you have taken an extra interest in me and Joey's personality and you're willing to listen to this. But I think for the most part, for the broader part of the community, it's like I provide a product, which is commentary for a game. And I think for the most part, like people who make these sort of pushes, they appreciate like the product that I bring. And they don't necessarily, I think, like know or care who I am as a person. Maybe they think they do, but I think the biggest example of that would be with the Moxie thread is that there are so many people who will. I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how to frame this in another way, so I'm just gonna go for it." This is gonna sound incredibly narcissistic, but to take my name in vain, like I'm fucking Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna let you keep going, buddy. Just go for it.
But what I mean is like they'll use my name to do something that I wouldn't want them to do. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, see, like Cap's being pushed out, and some dumb shit caster like Moxie gets his job, and that's bullshit. And like justice for Cap, fuck Moxie, and if I read something like that, I'm just like, I don't want that stuff. Like, don't put like my name on the things that you're saying.
I don't co-sign that. Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by like take my name in vain. I couldn't think of a better way to say that. It was just because it's like
it's effective.
Like I don't like if you know anything. If you ever come to my stream, like you try and shit talk the casters on the main stream, you're gonna get timed out or banned. And I always have to repeat this thing. I'm like, guys, the people that you're seeing, the people that you're talking about, those are my friends. Like, I don't appreciate you shit talking my friends.
Yeah.
Like, you might think, like, if you don't know me, maybe you think that coming to me and being like, oh my God, you are so much better than the casters on the mainstream. You might think that makes me feel good, but it really just makes me feel awkward because while I know you're trying to praise me, I don't want you to shit on my friends.
I don't want to slander anybody else.
I think are pretty good at their job too.
Yeah, I don't want to slander anybody else, but I think that might be a bleed over from like other people who will commentate games they're not at and might appreciate those comments more than you do.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. But like, I also think I'm probably like more friends with the people that like are being talked about. I think like for example, back when like there was a join DOTA versus BTS sort of thing, like I probably wouldn't mind as much if people came and was like, oh man, the BTS broadcast sucks, you guys are so much better. Like I probably wouldn't mind as much then because I wasn't really like friends, let's say, with BTS, or maybe I was, but it was like friendly acquaintances type deal. I wasn't really like close friends with many of the talent like I am now. So I think that's probably a certain aspect of it. Another obviously being maturity, another obviously being accomplishment. Like I have, back then I was on my way up. Now I'm there.
You're also like almost a decade older.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
counts for something.
I am one of the older talent in the scene now. Like I reminisce with Shiva the other day. I was like, you realize that like once upon we were like the new kids on the block, and like now we're the we're the only ones left. Everybody else is coming in the scene after us.
It's wild. We did. I mentioned it jokingly earlier, and you were talking about it a little bit more right there. But it is interesting to compare that like this happened on the same day as the Moxie thread, which I think one of my biggest problems with that thread was how egregious the title was. I almost removed it for just how egregious the title was. Yeah.
It was really fucking bad. I mean, that's the thing. Is like people. Sometimes people are so vindictive. I tried to talk about this earlier with some people that came onto my came and were watching my stream. Was the fact that like think about. Because I was basically talking about how I would not be nearly as gracious as Moxie was. I would be much more spiteful. And I was basically saying that
I think as a woman you can't be spiteful because that makes it worse.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's true. I think Moxie also had her post-TI tweet that a lot of people did not appreciate the sexism thing. So I think that's also another reason you can't really be spiteful is in a way you've already spurned. The community feels like they have been spurned by you once. So you do it again. I think there's no coming back. But yeah, I'm basically talking about how like I thought her response was good because I would be much angrier with that. And I was trying to explain like think about like so criticism is fair. In these sort of jobs, your job is public, and that comes with pluses and minuses. For some people, there are far more minuses than there are pluses to that aspect. I think women especially, there are far more minuses to being a public figure. But like it is fair for that criticism, and like really just anybody saying anything about you is fair because in a way your job is public. But it is still can be unfair to you as a person. And what I was trying to say is basically that her, like if you think about her job of talking about like video games and like her trying and doing her best, and her best, like it's not like she's intentionally doing a bad job. She's trying to do a good job. And to be so fucking overwhelmingly shit on screamed at by a bunch of people, even though you're just trying to do your best, is unfair. It's very human level. And people are just like, oh, but like, like people get fired from their jobs all the time and shit like that. And like, this is, I mean.
People get fired from their jobs generally in private.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we talk about criticism, like I was asking people like, do you honestly believe that the person and most of the people who commented in this Reddit thread, were they trying to help Moxie improve or were they trying to get her fired? And I think you could pretty like, if most people are honest, they're going to say over 60% are trying to get her fired.
I'd say 70.
Yeah.
I'd say 75. I'd say 3/4.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying 60% because I thought it was a fairly conservative, like.
And I would just add to that.
Like really trying to give the benefit of the doubt, or you got to at least say majority are trying to get her fired.
And I would add from like the Reddit perspective is that I've seen all the removed comments.
Yeah, that's not a thread I want to go into. Controversial. It's not a good thread for that.
No.
So, yeah, and so I was just saying, like, you just think about that. Like, think about, like, you have a job, and you really like your job, and you're trying to do your best at your job, and you're just getting, like, screamed at by thousands of people that you're not good enough, and most of them are not being constructive. Most of them are just shitting on you in whatever way they can, whether they're talking about your MMR or talking about, female privilege, or they're talking about, like your past performances or your connections and who your friends are and yada, like coming up with conspiracy theories and people actively lying about you. I'm not saying that all of those comments are all of those things, but I'm saying like there is going to be some people who are just flat out going to lie about her. There are some people who are just going to throw around misinformation. And it's like, that is unfair. And at a very human level, that is unfair for people to do to you. And again, it is fair for criticism of casters and, all that sort of shit. That part is fair. I'm just saying, like, the human element of it, very unfair. And so I would not be very gracious in my response. Tell everybody go fuck themselves.
I think I agree. I could not handle that pressure, but also I haven't had a lifetime of probably having to, right? Or not even a lifetime, like at least a very condensed couple of years of it. I feel like things are better once you understand that not everything is or needs to be a meritocracy. And because I think that's like the loophole that a lot of these people go for is like, well, in a perfect world, only the 10 best casters are at every event, full stop, and everybody else gets thrown into a fucking fire pit. Nothing works like that. I know it's like an idealistic system for things outside of casting and work and human growth and where you are on a social ladder or what have you, and I think that it's generally a toxic mindset to apply here. There's parts of it that obviously are, people get jobs because they are competent to do a job, right? But there's more that goes into being talent, hosting a production, doing an esports event than just, well, this person is not as skilled as this other person, so therefore bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about the meritocracy. Whenever it comes to the meritocracy thing, I think there are a lot of people who carry this baggage of the times that things didn't go right for them, even though they felt like they were the best person for the job, or they felt like they were overlooked.
Happened to me
in school, or whatever it is, And I think people it happens to them, and they see something that they view as a meritocracy problem, where it's the best person is not getting it, and then it's like they relive their own issues that they've had, and then just it becomes all the more they become all the more indignant and righteous about this is a problem. But yeah, I mean, talk about some of the substance of the thread. I will say there was a thread like this. Maybe it was about Moxie. There was a thread like this 2 to 3 years ago or something like this. And I remember commenting on it because I thought it was I thought it was by far the best constructive criticism that I've ever seen on Reddit. And so
needle in a haystack.
Yeah, I was I basically said hey, I've never seen something like this. And I think I said I would appreciate it if you did it for me or something like that, because I thought it was really good constructive criticism. I don't know if that was the right thing I should have done, but it was just that was the reaction I sort of had. And that was different from this. This I felt like most of the examples were either nitpicky or cherry picked in a way that I feel like you could probably do what you did with that thread with most casters. It's one of those like it's one of those bias things, you know, where once you start feeling a certain way, you think you think I'm a bad caster because I use too many filler words. Maybe I say too much. You're gonna start listening for every single that I have, and it's gonna bother you because you're looking for it, and every single time it happens, you notice it, and it just becomes this cycle of like, oh, there it is again. Oh, fuck, I hate that. There it is again. There it is again. It's something that happens a lot, I think, with casters. And I think a lot of those examples, you can, like, if you fixate on this person bad, you're going to find a lot of that. I'm not saying that, like, there isn't things that Moxie can improve on. I just felt like a lot of the examples there weren't great. A couple of the examples were fine, but I felt like a lot of them were kind of just like, yeah, but you could probably do that same thing with another casting pair. Or maybe that thing isn't Moxie's fault. You know, that actually might have been the co-caster's fault.
I saw that get shut down in the thread a couple times. We're like, well, actually, you know, maybe actually Jake should have filled there. People are like, no, fuck you, he's perfect. It's like, god damn it.
Yeah. So,
in conclusion,
I didn't think it was a great thread, but did seem like there are a lot of people with an axe to grind, and you know, I feel bad saying this, but like the right or wrong, whether the community is like right or wrong in their like assessment, ultimately the commentary is for the community, so no matter what it is, they're valid. Like it's like you know what it is? It's like when I was doing early on and joined DOTA, right? I do these solo casts. I wasn't Toby. People would just like fucking hate on me. And the biggest thing that I would say, because I'm an analytical person and I'm a good DOTA player, is I would analyze the game while I'm casting because I'm better at analyzing than I am doing humor, and especially solo. And so I would do that, and people would just shit on me and say, what is this 2K caster talking about? He has no idea about the game. And even though they were wrong, they are ultimately still the viewer, and they are like, I hate the fucking customer is always right, but in a way the viewer is always right. If they don't like something, like this is entirely about whether you like it or not, right? So like I need to make it so that they like it. And even though they were wrong about my analysis being bad, and I was like 5 times the Dota player they were, it was still a problem that I had to fix. You know, I still had to do certain things in order to change my reputation so that people would know that I'm a good Dota player. You know, I'm like that's just something that like I had to do, even though it was like unfair and like they were factually wrong. It's my problem to fix, you know? And I think this is something like that, where it's like right or wrong, like whether people are right or wrong about Moxie being a good or bad commentator, like there are parts of the community that is not happy with her, and she's going to have to find a way to fix that. That's just kind of like, that's the shitty part of being casting, is just like, well, it's your problem and you got to figure it out.
It's two things. The first one, it was probably easier for you being a man to fix that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Second thing being, you know, ultimately,
I don't like the, you know, I'm not saying everybody who has a problem with Moxie is sexist, but you have to accept there are some people who are sexist, and that's the reason they don't like Moxie. Moxie isn't just going to cure sexism and somehow magically make those people like her, you know.
Well, what you're saying though, like the point of what you're saying is really interesting. Like if I put my producer hat on for a second, it gets to an argument of like, well, does this person have such a negative impact on like the viewership that like my product is suffering, right? Because so many people are upset, and that is like, you know, ultimately a consideration that, you know, people will have behind the scenes, and then it'll be a conversation of like, well, are we going to do this in spite of however many hundreds or thousands of people who are going to not listen because we believe this is right? And I think that that's like the correct decision if you're looking in like a progress metric, but the incorrect decision if you're looking in like I need to put bigger numbers on my sponsorship deck metric. So, that is ultimately like a business decision that like is out of Moxie's control, which is why public perception and image is so important, right? And which is why threads like this can be so incredibly like not just helpful but damaging, oftentimes more damaging than helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling somebody about it earlier. I think I was talking to SVG about this. Like, I hate it. Like, I wish that I wish the community was not responsible for my job. Like, even though like community sentiment is pulling my way right now, I still wish it wasn't the case. Like, I wish there was. I wish commentating was more isolated from the viewers' like reaction. Because Reddit is also just a small piece of the Dota viewer base, right? And so it's like it's the only feedback that you're getting from like 5% of the viewers. So and that's also like who is writing those responses is also skewed to a certain way, right? It's not like the stay-at-home mother of two who's got like a 4-year-old and 6-year-old and likes watching Dota broadcasts is like also jumping in on her busy schedule to like weigh in on Reddit drama,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't sign up to be a politician.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, but you dealing with like community sentiment is a part of being a commentator. Like maybe if you can make, I think you could make that argument if you were like maybe like in a weird way, like a sports commentator. Like if some old school, like fucking 60-year-old sports commentator came into like the Dota side of things, and it was like, what the fuck is this? But I think nowadays esports commentators, like that is tied to your job. It's part of what you're signing up for better or worse. You may not like it, but it is there. So
yeah, even more so because we are so focused on being online than like a traditional celebrity. But I think that modern age celebrity with Twitter and Instagram means that if your job depends on public sway, you need to have a decent image, and sometimes having a bad image is having a good image, but like you can't just have people basically hating you. Yeah, Joe Rogan is very successful, right? Like
yeah, so you got to have some sort of image that does give you some sort of draw, even if it's being hated because your opinions are so fucking out of whack or whatever, and people just tune in to see what kind of crazy shit you're gonna say. Well, that's still a value to the producer.
Yeah, on that note, I've bought all these dick pills recently. I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan. They sell them at gas stations. They're great. It's a very specific joke for like 5 people.
Oh, come on. It's not that crass. Come on now, Joey. Come on.
It is.
It's brain fuel. It's brain fuel. That's true.
Yep. All right. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to kick to, because I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at the clock and starting to feel sad for myself. I think this was a great discussion. And I don't just want to put a lid on it, but that is exactly what I'm doing.
Wait. I feel like I want to wrap up that discussion by saying that I think Moxie is a good human being, and I like her a lot. And I think she's a pretty decent commentator. And I think there's some of this is overblown. Some of this is just part of being a commentator and like dealing with community sentiment and stuff. So I think, in some ways, both sides have their point. I think the community has some point about the improvement that can be done. I mean, I think almost all commentators can improve. So I think, but then also I think a lot of this was deeply unfair to Moxie, and hope that she's able to put up with this craziness.
I could only assume that she is not having the best time, like in showers, and she probably hasn't stopped thinking about it for days, and will continue to, and that is the sad part. And I
know how mad I used to get when fucking people would tell me I would read these comments were like, Join DOTA should just fire him already. And I'm just like, over what? Over what? Because I don't fucking talk about your fucking favorite video game quite the way that you like, that you want me to get fired from my livelihood, the fucking job that I fucking traveled across the world and relocated my entire life and I'm getting paid dog shit money for. That's the only thing keeping me going right now. You would like me to get fired from that? I feel like people really don't. It's probably because most people are, like college kids and stuff like that. But I feel like people don't really understand like what exactly you're asking for when you say, can this person be fired?
It's fucked up. I also genuinely think that most people who are listening to this show or have been for a while probably just agree with us. And I almost wish that like this is a conversation that could have been had in front of a different audience. Because I bet most people are just kind of like nodding their head and being like, yeah, it's fucked up. Where I don't think, I think the message could be stronger to, not people who are already here.
Believe me, I don't want that, Joey, because I already know all the responses in my head. I already know all the fucking responses that the people who are against what I'm saying are like, well, my job, would I do a fucking bad? Somebody the other day was like, well, I work as a nurse, and if I fuck up and somebody dies, you bet your ass that I'm getting fired. I'm just like, what the fuck? You think this is a fucking okay argument to make? Are you really comparing fucking talking about a video game to fucking somebody dying? What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think you signed up for that and had more schooling, and I'm not going to speak out of term. I don't think that's actually how that works. I don't know. I'm not a nurse. But yeah. Fuck Reddit. It is not a place for nuanced discussion. That's my hot take for the episode.
All right there. Reddit moderator. I'm not going to say fuck Reddit because I've said fuck Reddit too many times in the past. So, they're currently pulling my way. So let's go Reddit. Woo.
Can I give you 30 seconds to talk about the tournament that happened? LGD won. Spirit came in second.
Yeah, Riyadh Masters happened. It was, does it matter? I mean, it matters for like the teams that did well. Spirit looked like they're going to be a pretty good threat to TI. No surprise. LGD looks good. I think everything else doesn't matter. I think the teams and that did poorly at this event, you can just be like, whatever. It doesn't really say that much about them.
Yeah, Ana was there. Did well, what's the big deal?
Okay, cool. Liquid sucked again. Huh.
I don't think there's going to be a problem with us playing on LAN. Like, there's not 2 instances in a row where it was problematic. There was a stand-in. It was fine.
Joey, you're sweating. You're sweating, Joey.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let me
fuck. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
I'll see you in Arlington, Will. I think that my takeaway is Spirit looking in form. I think some of the stage production for the event was actually pretty sick. I like the graphics they had and the monitor in the middle and the way they did the draft. I think that it was actually probably one of the best camera setups I've seen in a while. So I guess kudos on that.
Okay there, Mr. Sports Washer. You want to say any more nice things about Saudi Arabia?
They had a good Saudi Arabia had a good graphics team. No one probably noticed this, but like Team Liquid didn't promo the event at all. That was intentional.
That's not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Also a question mark about all the people. There were a couple of people who missed it, and Matumba Man was one of those.
Well, I mean, we made a statement, like when DSL was talking about this, earlier, that, we're not going to force anybody to go if they don't want to go, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it is not an illogical conclusion to say that someone didn't want to go.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I appreciate any time, even if I disagree with your opinion. I appreciate anybody who's willing to put some fucking shit on the line.
Yeah.
Like actually have a say about things. There are far too many people it's far too many people who just have a problem with people speaking up about something. Oh, well, you did this bad thing. You should just shut up. You should just do your job and shut up. Like, isn't that the easy way out? Just to shut up and not say anything. I know people like, oh, but virtue signaling, you're just trying to get points for it or something. But like,
God, that
if
word
you really
triggers me
stand
so
up for
much.
something, like really speaking out, really like putting some of yourself in a risky position. I appreciate any time anybody does that, no matter their political or religious or whatever views that they have. To do that in the first place, I think takes some guts, and I think it is a good thing most of the time.
I wish RNG did better. They're my non-liquid horse for TI. I've decided. That's my decision. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, well,
pardon the pun.
I'll probably just be going LGD again.
That's boring. That's
fourth time's the charm.
Boring, listen, Austin.
I've been writing the fucking LGD. They're gonna win the TI for. You think that after thinking that they were gonna win TI 8, TI 9, and TI 10, you think I'm gonna back down and be like, I don't think LGD is gonna do it this time. What if they fucking do it? What if I fucking had them as the team to win TI like fucking 3 years in a row? And then I don't get them in the fourth year and they actually do win it. I'm fucking stuck at this point. Yeah. I'm not missing out. I'm not missing out on this. LGD, winners of TI 11. Let's go.
Nah, man. Let's wrap up with a quick Patreon question and then go home.
Okay. All right.
Which anybody can send us. Patreon.com. We're both at home right now. Yeah, patreon.com/SidePull. Thank you for anybody who supports the show. It allows us to do the show. Which, thank you.
Rob said, I don't like mid anymore. Who can I spam off lane, all caps, off lane, for easy MMR?
This is the most Austin question that's ever Austin.
Yeah, but, you have your opinions, Joey. What do you think? Come on, you can think of an off-lane hero. Think of one.
Dawnbreaker.
That's an off-lane hero. That's a good off-lane hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think Dawnbreaker is probably a good one. Who can I spam for free MMR? I think I've been playing a lot of Axe lately. I think that hero is fun.
Can you first two Axe? Can you like first phase Axe?
I've been doing it. I've been doing it in my solo queue games, not just my party queue games. I've been doing it in my solo queue games, and people counterpick me. Ursa, Monkey King, some really fucking rough ass shit to lane against. I've been beating those heroes.
I always pick Ursa those heroes
because I've been going 1-4-1. And this maxed out battle hunger, like if you really play the lane right, I think it is fucking destructive. And it's good in team fights too. I think I'm having some fun with it. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's probably even better in lower MMR, where people have a harder time last hitting. I mean, if they can't even
endless
hit CS
regen
without you trying to deny it,
Like if they don't have a support that's providing them regen, or they don't have enough regen, battle hunger is pretty nutty right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I'm not quite sure that I feel like maybe Axe isn't quite strong enough for pro play and maybe really high MMR games, but like my rank 500 games, I'm getting by. I'm winning matchups that I think would usually be unwinnable. And I kind of go from there. I've been trying out Armlet on Axe because if you activate Armlet, it gives you 10 armor in total. And armor is the big thing that makes battle hunger feel good. It's also like offlaners are being greedy right now in general and building Armlet. So like I've been trying that out. Feels pretty good. If you could get Armlet, Blink Dagger, BKB, AC, you're actually kind of bonkers as Axe. You're just beating people's ass and they can't fight back.
Did I ever tell you when I used to build Armlet on Spectre?
I think you have, yeah.
Okay, then never mind, I won't.
It's not the worst. I remember because I said I don't think that's the worst idea in the world.
You know what? You're right. We did have this conversation because you did say that.
yeah, I did say that.
Big Armlet fan over here.
I feel like Pengo's kind of okay right now.
But you have to like learn how to play Hango. Oh, I did play a Night Stalker game. I've always been a Night Stalker fan, especially after the most recent change he had with AoE silence. I think this question probably is like lightly MMR dependent. I don't think we got that information right. So I think Night Stalker, if you learn how to play it, can also be crazy. In my bracket, which is more ancient adjacent.
Yeah.
Or lower, because people just don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I think so too. Other than that, there's still your typical, I think Mars that never really goes out of style. As a hero that feels pretty good. Nature's Prophet is kind of nutty right now, both 1, 3.
Does Mars work if your teammates aren't good? Like, I feel like I can kind of start a fight better with Axe or kill someone with Dawnbreaker or, really fuck stuff up with Night Stalker. But, Mars always feels to me, with my very limited playtime, that, I need coordination of my teammates, which isn't always there to execute.
Arena, sure, it's like a big team fight ability. But, ultimately, your whole combo is single target. You're just trying to kill one person. Yeah, it's really cool. Oh my god, he got 4 people inside of the fucking arena. Oh, wow. But, really, you're just trying to create a wall for you to pin somebody to and then beat their ass while they're stunned, That's really all you want to do. So as long as you can hit the spear, I think Mars still feels fine. Try the ranged offlaners. I think ranged offlaners are more likely to catch people by surprise, especially if you get to pick second. Then it probably means both the enemy carry is blind picking into you. So if you pick some sort of Viper or Razor, both are pretty strong heroes right now. There's probably a 50 to 60, 70% chance that you are in a huge matchup win just based off of blind pick. They pick one of the many tens and tens of melee carry heroes. They're probably going to get fucked on by a Viper or a Razor. So, yeah, try those out.
I'm willing to bet that you just gave someone choice paralysis. Investigate Axe and Razor.
Yeah, I would say, choose one, Viper or Razor, and then choose a melee hero that I just listed. And then just go between those two. Back and forth.
And if you're not looking to play offlane and you want to do homework too, I would encourage you to go to https://www.reddit.com/r/Dota2 and just make a thread about this show and why we're shit.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. You can make a why is Joey and Cap still allowed to be on podcasts?
Because we own the means of production, motherfucker.